Ah yes, this is what I needed. How I missed you, numpad. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Create a beautiful online presence with Squarespace. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Scott. You know, for most everyday typing, pretty much all you need is something like this, a 60%. It's good for just everyday emails and as well as some gaming and a little bit of work as well. But if you're in something like accounting or finance or even engineering, you just can't get around the fact that you need the big boy. You need that numpad for all those numbering actions. So in that situation, a keyboard like this, the AKKO Mod 003, a gasket mounted 1800 format keyboard, comes in handy. Let's get started. The AKKO Mod 003 is AKKO's first entry into the premium gasket mechanical keyboard segment with a machined aluminum case, aluminum plate, hot swap, a semi-programmable PCB, and the popular gasket mounting design. But what's interesting is that AKKO decided to enter the segment with an interesting 1800 format design. This means the keyboard features 98 keys and is considered a compact full size. I know that seems contradictory. However, let me show you what I'm talking about. 1800 is a perfect compromise between offering the necessary numpad and not taking up the entire desk. If you compare this to a TKL like the KBDFANS Mark II, you'll notice that the AKKO Mod 3 is only about 1 inch bigger. This allows the Mod 3 to fit comfortably on the desk and not eat into the mouse space while offering more keys than the standard TKL. So if you go with 1800, what do you lose? Essentially, you get most of the keys from a full-size 104 like here, but with the exception of a few keys like scroll lock, pause break, and etc. But if you don't really use those keys and you just need the numpad, 1800 is actually perfect for you. So let's take a look into the details of this Mod 3 from AKKO. First off, the Mod 3 is machined from aluminum and features nicely beveled edges. Overall, the anodization on my black unit was pretty good, with no real visible imperfections or striping. I did notice a few nicks on mine, but this is a review sample, so there's really nothing out of the ordinary. Underneath the aluminum case is this gold-orange weight that mimics the look of brass, but it's actually more decorative than for adding weight. The Mod 3 comes with an aluminum plate that is also anodized to match the case color. The keyboard comes complete, so it also has cherry-style stabilizers that are already installed, as you can see here. Honestly, this is probably the best stock stabilizer I have seen and the tightest plate fit as well. One thing you'll notice is that the Mod 3 features per key RGB with 20 different light settings, but also in a north-facing configuration. Wait, north-facing, that's bad, right? Well, not really, and we'll get to that later. Overall, the case height is average, but I did prefer to use it with a wrist rest. The USB-C connection is located right in the center as well. Let's undo the 8 screws below and now dig into how this thing is actually constructed. As you can see, the Mod 3 is a gasket mounted keyboard with plenty of flexible cuts in the plate. Also, you'll notice that this thing has many tiny little gaskets all over the place. Pretty stiff gaskets actually. The plate has strategically placed flex cuts to help the keyboard have a nice flex. Despite the stiff gaskets and the stiff aluminum plate, you can still see some bounce here. I'll show you later how to make this much better. Underneath the plate, you can see the dampening foam that AKKO provided. It's actually pretty lightweight. What's interesting is that when you get to the lower case, for whatever reasons, the case has all these slots milled into it. I feel like AKKO did this to help reduce the case ping in such a huge case, and I think it actually worked. What you'll notice also is how cavernous the lower case is as well. This is actually really good for flex. The PCB is standard black, but one thing that really stood out was the hot swap sockets. Rather than the black KO or even the Gateron hot swap sockets, they're actually brown and they're made by TTC. However, they work the same as the other two, so I didn't see any issues here. Remember what I said about the stabilizers? Not sure what brand this is, but the stem doesn't have those little teeth-like prongs, so no clipping is necessary. And these actually fit so tightly on the plate, there's no rattle. It's actually pretty good. And finally, these budget stiff gaskets. We'll do something about these later. But before we do that, a word from our sponsor. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that helps you build a beautiful website. It offers all the tools you need for website building and hosting, including professionally designed templates that are automatically mobile optimized and various SEO tools to get your site noticed. I actually use squarespace.com for my own e-commerce business because it allows for seamless integration of a lot of different payment tools that makes my web store so much easier to run and manage. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, or if you're already ready to launch, use the link squarespace.com/keyboard for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. In addition to the Mod 3, Akko sent me their new Jelly Black, Jelly White linear switches, the CS Sponge Tactile, and the CS Starfish linear. I feel like these have a familiar who lives in a pineapple under the sea theme going on, don't you think? As mentioned, the CS Starfish and the Jelly Black and the White are linear switches. However, there's quite a bit of difference. The CS Starfish is actually using the previous Akko CS modes, using the KO style housing, but with the updated box stem. The CS Starfish also uses a 60-gram 2-stage long spring for a nice and snappy typing feel. And it looks like Patrick, yeah, I said it. The Jelly Black and White seems new. They are actually using a different Cherry MX style housing with box stems. I believe these are the same, but the White has 45-gram long spring, while the Black has a 60-gram long spring. Given the housing, you could probably Franken-switch these if you want. Finally, the CS Sponge Tactile. These are interesting because they're touted as double bump tactiles. Bump as you press in and bump as you press out. They felt interesting, but not in a bad way. Also features a KO style housing with a box stem and 55-gram 2-stage long spring on bottom out. Let's put these guys on the board and check out how they sound. We'll go back to back and cut pretty quickly, and stock switches with the stock board. We'll start with the Starfish first. The keycaps we'll be using will be the Sidicus Cherry Profile by Akko. I feel like overall, the Mod 3 and the new switches can actually be used fully stock. The Mod 3 does sound a bit hollow, and the switches will sound even deeper and smoother with some Krytox, but honestly, if you don't want to do that, you can use it stock with no qualms. But you didn't come to my channel to see some stock boards being typed on, right? Right. Let's see what kind of magic we can do on this guy. So first thing I mentioned, the gaskets. The stock gaskets are like rocks, they are hard. I'm pretty sure they're EVA foam gaskets, so I ripped them all off. Then I replaced them with some leftover gaskets from the Bubble 75. Those are soft. I'm sure D65 gaskets will work on them as well. I saw in the forums that many were concerned that since this doesn't have a daughter board, it will not flex at all. But honestly, even in stock form with hard gaskets, it still does flex. However, keep watching what happens with the right tweaks. Next up is the case dampening. Overall, the case doesn't have too much ping, but rather, since the cavity is so big, it has some hollowness. So I decided to go do the Q1 mod on this, a thin 50mm kill mat on the bottom. Then I used some blue tape to create a force break between the upper and lower case, and I also added 2 layers of it under the PCB, the Tempest mod. Then I had a box of new Novelkeys plate mount stabs, so I threw these on here. And I could tell you, these are by far the best plate mounted stabs you could buy. Not cheap, but these are the Durox of the plate mounted world. With these simple mods, take a look at the flex. This thing flexes as well as any $300+ daughter board gasket keyboard out there. Then, I threw on some lubed and filmed Gateron Cap V2 switches for maximum pop and took it for a spin. So let me know what you think. Needless to say, this is going to be my new office keyboard going forward. I'm in a profession that do require quite a bit of spreadsheets and numbers, and the 1800 layout is perfect for me. Even in stock form, the Mod 3 impressed me quite a bit. This shows me that Akko is actually serious about getting into more premium business, and they also let me know that there will be more sizes coming out in the future, and they're also exploring going south-facing PCB. But on that topic, the Akko switches with the Akko cherry profile keycaps didn't have any interference. It's really good to see more and more options, and not just in 60% sizes coming out to the market. This is really good to get more and more people into the hobby with less restrictions and more choices to explore. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. YouTube tells me that only 20% of my viewers are subscribed. Please hit that sub button, and having that count really helps me work with more vendors. So thanks for the support.